Hi everyone, my name is Matt Webster. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at Lumeta Corporation. Today we'll take a couple of minutes to talk through IPv6 and how Lumeta solutions may be able to help some of the common problems that we're seeing with the adoption of IPv6. To set the groundwork, let's talk a little bit about where we are with IPv6. For a decade now we've been threatening, and the industry's been threatening that IPv6 is the next great thing. The reality is the adoption is happening. Last couple of years, 2012, 2013, there's research that shows that internet traffic has increased 400%. IPv6 internet traffic has increased in excess of 400% over those couple of years, and we would expect that 2014 will be the same. Interestingly enough, that traffic is not server to server like it used to be. Initially, the traffic was primarily between websites and servers. Now they are seeing a lot more endpoint specific traffic. So rather than just general HTTP or HTTPS traffic riding IPv6, we're seeing general endpoint traffic around the internet. So the adoption is happening. Those numbers also hold true to the enterprise itself, so not just the internet. Certainly, as everyone is aware, the IPv6 vulnerabilities are out there. They're staring us straight in the face. There's no significant difference between the vulnerabilities that exist in IPv4 and IPv6. Of course, IPv6 does have IPsec inherent to its protocol, which is an option in IPv4. But buffer overflows, man-in-the-middle attacks, DDoS attacks, Smurf attacks, and just general network vulnerabilities exist in IPv6 as well as they do in IPv4. Certainly, one of the big hindrances of the adoption of V6 has been the lack of security products that support IPv6, whether it be with firewalls or IDS/IPS or other vulnerability scanners, etc., that don't support V6 as robustly as organizations would like. That's been a hindrance in the adoption of IPv6. But probably the most, the greatest issue around IPv6 is the lack of IPv6 specific policy, similar to what we have in the IPv4 world within the enterprise. So policies on what type of traffic can traverse the edge of a network, what types of traffic can communicate internally, and general policies on remediating IPv6 based vulnerabilities. Along those lines is a lack of education, of course. The staffs of security groups as well as network groups don't have the same level of expertise in the IPv6 space as they do in IPv4. And finally, the lack of visibility. Lack of visibility may represent one of the greatest vulnerabilities or risks or hindrances in adoption within the IPv6 space. The beauty of IPv6 and the benefits of the great number or the vast number of available addressing within IPv6 is a huge benefit. But that grayness, that deep dark space that represents the IPv6 address space is also leads to this lack of visibility. Within that lack of visibility comes the need to gain a greater level of visibility so that you can allow your vulnerability scanners, you can allow your policies, you can allow your staff, you can allow your security posture to reflect the reality of your environment. Here at Lumeta, we've been working with clients for a number of years on identifying IPv6 enabled network infrastructure as the starting point. Where do I have IPv6 enabled devices within my infrastructure that allows the V6 traffic to traverse the enterprise? What we do know is that many devices, whether it be an iPhone or Windows 8, etc., they prefer to speak IPv6 first. So if they're able to get to an IPv6 address, they will try to communicate in IPv6 first. Understanding where those devices are leads you down the path of closing that visibility gap and being able to understand what's connected to your enterprise, both from a v4 perspective, of course, as well as a v6 perspective. So a little bit about how Lumeta goes about that. In our Lumeta product, ESI, Enterprise Situational Intelligence, that product is specifically geared to work in both an IPv4 environment, dual-stacked environment, as well as a native v6 environment. We have a number of discovery techniques to understand how devices are connecting, how the infrastructure is geared to deal with or support IPv6 connectivity. In the case of the network itself, we interrogate the network equipment, determining what types of v6 capabilities those devices have. Are there IPv6 networks being injected into that network fabric, as well as watching the network itself as it molds to potentially new injected networks or IPv6 networks as they come onto the environment. As an example, with our OSPF eavesdropping that we do, we're able to see as new IPv6 network infrastructure or IPv6 routes are injected into a specific OSPF area. That allows us to perform some very specific interrogation on these newly discovered networks to understand what types of devices are connected to that infrastructure as it's materialized. We, of course, then also are watching IPv6 specific traffic. Again, as way of an example, as everyone knows, in IPv6 there's no ARP. It's called ping6 or ICMP v6, how the device itself connects to the infrastructure. The Lumeta ESI system is specifically geared to watch that type of traffic so that we're learning about devices as they come onto the network in real time. All that network information and device-specific information is rolled up into our ESI command and control center, allowing users to set very specific policy on, do I want to be alerted when an IPv6 network is injected? Do I want to be alerted when a device is determined to have an IPv6 address? Once that is normalized, that data is normalized, it can then be shipped off into our alerting modules or into another system like a SIM, etc., allowing an operations center to address very, very quickly any policy violations when it comes to IPv6 specific devices. Of course, as foundational intelligence, network situational awareness, foundational intelligence is concerned, that data, that information about what's connected to my network, the reality of my network, can also be utilized by the vulnerability scanners of the world to be very specific in their scanning. As we all know, that black space that I call the IPv6 world, that doesn't lend itself to scanning. So understanding very specifically what devices are connected to your environment can allow you to address any vulnerabilities that you may have with your vulnerability scanner, very specific to the connected device itself. So in summary, using the Lumeta ESI product allows you to gain a level of network situational awareness, visibility into your IPv6 world, either known or unknown to you, that you probably have not had before. So I encourage everyone to take a look at our white paper on IPv6 discovery. You can find it here at the URL provided. Thank you for spending the time.